You try to get her to eat mashed potato and you try and dumping it and she
Oh, mine's like that.
This radio station does any number of jobs, and there are no prima donnas on this radio station whatsoever. So Chris Baxter's on air at the moment, and he's a presenter. Well, Dom Cotton is pushing the buttons, but sometimes when Chris...
G3 Martin, nice to meet you, because I'm in
the
the
three.
You listen to us anyway, don't you?
Yes, rather regular, yes.
So what have you been selling here today? Where's all this produce come from?
That's our own gardens and allotments and, you know...
2,
Well, that's basically it. It's all own
6,
produce.
7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent.
And, everybody's...
So welcome to Ops. This is Ops Operation Control. This basically is the filter, the funnel. All that it captures all the stuff that's coming in, whether it be text. That's it. Let's all follow you. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's all follow you. That's great, isn't it?
There's not many of us now who are. We're sort of like an umbrella.
That's
We
it.
branched off.
I'll take on Chief Door Holding Activities.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There is room for 3 there, so that's right. So welcome to the main broadcast studio.
Sort of looking as if to say, don't
So this is used for breakfast and drive, and people often say, well, why was there any choice in that? Well, actually there was. Before we were refitted, which more in a moment, it was the other way around. But actually,
hello madam, what's your name?
when you walk into this studio, breakfast is all talk. And guests are coming in and going out all the time. So the moment you walk in, you can see Mark Cummings sitting there. There's a welcome smile. You sit down, it's much more relaxed. When you walk in there, you walk in from that angle and you meet a bank of monitors and you can't see.
I like to actually look at people rather than have my back to them just for a second. So I'll just show you what Mark's spot on. We had to have this done when we did, because we were getting to breaking point with the technology that we had. Things were going to fall over, things were going to break. And we were moved to the top of a very long list. The BBC put us at the very top of the list because if this news story happens, if a big news story happens, civil emergency, let's be honest, it's happened in Gloucestershire. If it's going to happen here, our colleagues at BBC Broadcasting House in London, and we also like to look at what Sky are doing as well. Sky do things differently to us, but we are all effectively doing the same thing. We are giving you the news. Obviously, we effectively close this building down at 7 o'clock. We go to Mark Forest, and that programme comes from Leeds. And all the rest of the BBC local organisations join up. Reader tonight, whoever's on the late bulletin shift, their last bulletin will be 4 minutes, not a second over. And it will, to the tick of the clock. Because Mark Forest in Leeds won't wait. Because 39 other stations have made it on time. Radio Gloucestershire has to join in. Oh no. And I've started the jingle going, and they're not there. So I'll use the intercom to go, any news today? Read the news? Because we're getting these. I can tell you that South Africa sold 3.685 billion rand worth 3 months treasury bills on Friday at an average yield of 5.12%. We probably wouldn't normally bring you that, but it just goes to show you the way that news is brought to us from various news agencies around the world, from Reuters, from Associated Press and Press Association, from Agence France Presse. It all comes into this building and we see exactly what our colleagues at the BBC News Channel see. So, 4 men are sentenced to death in India. For that particular story, we will see that as they see it. We may not flash it at the same time, or we may not mention it at all, because it may not fit with what we're doing here in Gloucestershire. But we are wired into the same information that they are. I could tell you...
Because it won't make sense otherwise, so do sort of peer over each other's shoulders.
By all means, peer over, yeah,
Just
absolutely.
make sure you can see these screens.
So, we don't play, as we mentioned, we don't play vinyl, we don't play CDs. Everything is on here. And that goes for our jingles, our music, anything we've got out and about with the microphone and pre-recorded, it all lands here. So, have a guess, which of these lovely buttons on here would I have to press to be able to hear something?
Bear in mind, presenters are technically useless. What's the easiest button they could...
Easiest button. What's the biggest button? The obvious button. Go. Do you want to press it?
David Smith
on BBC Radio Gloucestershire.
Right, you're fired.
That's all I can do. So there you are. So now, if you look at this, this is Hot Chocolate, You Sexy Thing. Look at this number here. This is getting very, very close to 0. Counting down. What will happen when it gets to 0? It'll start singing. So that's very useful for us. So if you ever hear us do it, we call it hot rocking jocking.
Hot rocking
jocking.
Mate.
If you ever hear us do that, that gives me 18 seconds to tell you who I am, where you are, if you didn't know. And what we've got coming up a little bit later, who we're talking to, and then I can tell you it's hot chocolate, you sexy thing. This one on here, this is 12 seconds, a little bit less by the time it gets to the counter. So I could say 23 minutes to 12, BBC Radio Gloucestershire, playing Gabrielle. And this is When a Woman. Now, it looks easy, but it does take a bit of skill to know the song well enough to be able to do it, but it is there. It also lets us search for a variety of pieces of music, and the only time we'd ever do this, because all our music is carefully chosen, we'll explain more about that in a second, the only time we'd ever look for music is if we had a reason to do it. So let's say I'm doing an interview about ABBA. It'd be daft if I didn't play an ABBA song. So if I search for an ABBA song, that's every ABBA song we ever play. And I can pick one. So let me say, let's pick Dancing Queen. So I grab it, I drag it, and it's ready to go. So the next time I press go, there it is. And that's really good because before now I've done interviews, and it's not been, I've done an interview maybe on ABBA, but I've not had it ready. So while I'm talking, I'll quickly type it in, find it, grab it, drag it. Thanks, really good to talk to you, thanks a lot. And I'll press go, and it's playing. And that goes for anything here. We never do that for any other reason than an editorial reason, than a production reason for doing it. Why are we picking another song that's not on our playlist? Because we're talking to X. That's quite important. We'll explain more about it. And I press one of these.
BBC Radio Gloucestershire.
Very useful just to fill some time or to break something up. So if we go from a very, very, very hard news story into something very light and fluffy and jolly, it would jar a lot if we didn't play something to break it up, and that may well be what we do there.
Some things in radio are amazingly time-consuming and expensive. And radio is an expensive business, which is why a lot of radio stations are on their knees or doing syndication. So this radio station costs £1.6 million a year, for example, to run, which I assure you is about as cheap as you can do at a station making speech radio. But things like a jingle, which lasts 15 seconds, you know, we're just redoing some of them because of the, again later, DAB. But you know, it will take us a long time. We've got people working on it for a week or two. The jingle package we currently use, the one that goes up to the news, you know, the composers went through a whole process with that. It came to us. We then heard what they sent us. We didn't like it. We wanted a bit more oomph here, a bit less there.
A few more strings, a few less guitar.
Yeah, didn't like that. And then the voiceover has to be right, and choose the voiceover and get the voiceover. So per second of effort, ridiculous how long it took. But radio, that's why radio sounds good when it's done well. It's very easy to make radio sound bad.
So all the jingles I've got on here, there's a little triangle on here when I've played it. And it's not telling me I can't play it again, but it's the system's way of reminding me, you've played this once. You might want to think about putting another one on, playing another one. And that's very, very useful and very, very clever. The countdown system works the same for all our jingles as it does for the music. I know I've got 3 seconds before they'll start telling you in a very big loud voice who you're listening to, which is right about now.
On FM,
AM.
and online.
Your life.
Your news.
BBC Radio Gloucestershire.
And if a newsreader had happened to join the tour, we'd have given them a heart attack at 20 to 12. Because the minute they hear that, that's showtime. They're on. They've got to be there. So,
Thank you. All right.
okay.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Weekend teams are working hard. We've got Spencer Evans, who's going to be reading the bulletin this afternoon. We've got Richard Atkins, who's... so let's go and see the TV studio. Very exciting.
10 o'clock.
Follow through that door there. That's it, straight through there. Try not to wave too much or not. No. Which is the same for international commercial stations have 4, although not the same 4 sites. The BBC national transmitters have slightly more. So that's that. Someone asked me quickly about how we choose the music, and I thought I got away with, but I clearly didn't.
No.
The answer is